You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for wanting to come in tonight and spend some time with us right here on the Six Screens. Well, we're all excited tonight. We got some really good programs. You just heard Anne Marie, and wow, what an international audience we are getting. People calling in from all over the world, friends. We have people a man called in tonight from South Africa, from London. We had people a couple of weeks ago from Japan. We have people from the UK all the time. So we want to thank all those people getting out of the Watchtower and coming into the Six Screens Telenetwork. Friends, the Six Screens Telenetwork is more than just an audience. We are a community. This is where you can speak up in real time and talk to former Jehovah's Witnesses. We can encourage each other. It's like a giant therapy session. So let's do that. Let's spread the word. Let people know that we do this every Saturday night, and we've been doing it for 20 years. So let's bring Dick and Constance on right now. Say hello to them. Hello, Dick and Constance.
Hello, Rick.
So anyways, so I think you're talking about education tonight, Dick and Constance?
Yeah, we are. But before we get into that point, I got to tell you, when I'm looking at the screen and I see still here, it brings back kind of a fond memory. I think I've told this audience many, many times. I had a girlfriend back in the early 70s, and we were studying the Truth Book together, and I wanted to take her to the Bible study, and she told me she wasn't going to go, and I told her she was going to die at Armageddon, and Armageddon was going to be 2 years from now, because this was in early 1973, and she told me no, that was crazy. It was a false prophecy, and so forth. And I told her she was going to die. And then I run into her and her new boyfriend in 76, early 76. And I was in a gas station on one side of the island from the other one. And she said, "Still here, Dick, we're still here." So when I saw your sign in the lower right-hand corner, I said, "Wow, I got to say something about it, because we're still here." It was 50 years ago, this September the 5th, that Armageddon was going to come. Absolutely guaranteed, positively, going to happen. So says Freddie fans and all those other jerks. So,
well, Dick, I appreciate you saying that. I put that up tonight too, because on my news tonight, what's coming across the information about the witnesses is this Sunday's, well, not this Sunday, but in November, they're going to be just studying. They're getting away from Armageddon around the corner, and they're now saying it might not come in our lifetime. So, I mean, that's a big, wait till you hear the conversation on that. That's going to get a lot of attention. So we're looking forward to that, but I'm looking forward to your program as well. We're going to get a lot of people coming in, like I say. So I'm sure they have a lot to say about education. So I'll let you guys go at it, and I'm here if you need me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
There you go.
There you go. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I should say evening. It's so nice of you that you could all join us. And our subject tonight is education. You know, I've told a story on Six Screens many, many times. And sometimes you must say, "Oh, Dick, you know, I've heard that story. It's boring. I've heard it so many times." But we have so many new people on here. So I'm going to tell you my firsthand situation with education. I didn't have much going. I was lucky to graduate from high school, and the Marine Corps doesn't teach you a whole lot. And, you know, shoot a rifle, shoot a pistol, grenades, that type of stuff. That's what they're big on. So I didn't have a whole lot of education after leaving the Marine Corps after 4 years. And I wanted to go to college. My parents pushed me towards it. I had a friend of mine that was in the military same time I was. He was going to college. And he said, gee, it's paying my rent. So I decided to go to Newbury. It was a business college out of Boston, and they had a satellite in the town that I lived in, which was Lowell, Massachusetts. So I applied for it, and I got accepted. And I started going, and I got $450 a month to get an education. And, that paid the rent where I was living at the time. I was married, and I had one child, and eventually I had another one on the way, but had one child, and I had a hard time, making it on 40 hours of labor, where I was working in an apartment complex, and that $450 a month came in real handy.
Mhm.
But I knew it was really frowned on for anyone to go get an education. So I used to take my school books and put them in a brown bag and wrap the books up in a brown bag so nobody would see them, because there was a lot of elders that lived in the apartment complex that I was at. And I did this for a good year and a half. And then one time there wasn't any brown bags around, so I said, well, I'll take a chance. And sure enough, here comes Brother Don Culp.
He was an elder.
He was an elder, and a Bethel graduate, or Bethel
Mhm.
elder. And he see me, and I was trying to hide the books. And I could tell he kept on looking to see what I was reading.
Mhm.
So he says, what are you reading? I said, well, I'm reading a book on accounting. He says, accounting? He says, are you going to school? And I said, yes, I'm going to school. He said, well, what school are you going to? I says, Newbury. He says, oh, is that new college? And I said, yeah. He goes, why would you go to college this late in the system?
So what year was that, Rich?
That was 1976.
Okay.
Armageddon had not come in 75.
Right.
And it seemed apparent that I better put something in my brain if I'm going to get a good job and start raising children.
Mhm.
You've got to have, a better job than being a superintendent in
Right.
an apartment complex.
Right.
So he goes, well, it's really late in the system, and Armageddon. And he tried to tell me a little story about maybe they miscalculated
Mhm.
the year zero. We should have been 0 to year one AD.
Mhm.
And
And they might have been off by a year.
they might have been off by a year, and here it is.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to school. I should be pioneering or doing something like that.
Mhm.
So I said, well, he kept on asking, why are you going to college?
Mm.
And I said, well, Don, it pays me $450 a month. And that's exactly what I was paying for rent back in the 70s, the early 70s.
And that would cover your tuition and your books.
That covered everything.
Right.
Everything was paid for.
Mhm.
And just the VA would send the money to the school.
Mhm.
And the school would take books and tuition. They'd send me what was left.
Mm.
And it was tri-semester, which meant you went all year round. And you had
3 semesters in 1 year.
3 semesters in 1 year.
Mhm.
So you got a consistent $450.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And I was thinking, that's a couple of years of not having to pay rent, which is pretty nice when you're first starting out with a wife and kids. And so,
Well, and not everyone gets that opportunity.
that's right. That's right. So when I told him I paid $450,
Mhm.
he said, brother so-and-so's got a carpet shampooing business, and he's looking to have a big guy like yourself help get that equipment up the staircases.
Mm.
And I said, yeah, he already approached me, but what he was offering wasn't $450 a month. And he said, well, you're going to be going in a class with worldly men or worldly people. And I said, well, Don, it's not like some other colleges where you leave for college at 17 or 18 and you're staying under the dorm and everybody's drinking and playing around and all this. These are all guys that
They're
have
working
jobs,
professionals.
work, and they have families.
Right.
We didn't have class dances or football
No,
games to go to.
Because you're an adult now.
Yeah, it's an adult class.
Mhm.
He just did not like that at all.
Yeah, he didn't like the
He didn't
answer.
like it at all. So they frowned very, very much, at least in the 70s, 80s,
Oh, yeah.
90s, the teens.
60s.
Yeah, they were really, don't get an education, don't get an education.
Mhm.
So what happens? Everybody's a carpet shampooer, everybody's a glass cleaner, they're mowing other people's grasses, they don't have jobs that pay well.
Mhm.
And now it's hurting society because they're looking for people to make donations every single month, every single week to the Kingdom Hall. And those donations aren't there because people are struggling without an education. There's not that many good jobs. I will tell you that there are some jobs that some of the trades, carpenter, something like that,
Electricians.
electricians,
Yeah, very well.
but you still have to pass tests.
Right.
You have to, pass.
Do the apprenticeship.
Yeah,
journeyman.
apprenticeships, and journeyman,
Mhm.
and you have to get, like, if you want to get a contractor's license, there's some pretty extensive tests you have to take.
Mhm.
If you want to get, like, I have a master technician's license, you have to go to school for that.
Mhm.
You have to have some background. You can be self-taught, but most of the time you're better off to go to school. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is the Watchtower is now changing their position for one reason. There's no money in the contribution boxes because people are struggling just to put food on the table and keeping the lights on. And they know that Jehovah's Witnesses that did get an education and had a good trade, well, they can contribute. And I know when I was in, where if the congregation didn't have enough money to send a check to the Watchtower
Mhm.
or keep the lights on or whatever, elders were expected to come up with the money.
Mhm.
So that was one of the reasons why people got appointed to be an elder or a ministerial servant, but particularly an elder, is because they could pay some of those bills. Society's in business to make money. So their reason for not letting you get an education back in the 60s and 70s was that you'd learn skills that you'd challenge thinking. You'd have
Critical thinking.
critical thinking. There you go.
Right.
Thank you. And if you had critical thinking, you would challenge the Watchtower's theology, their way they do things, their oh boy, there's just so much you could challenge with them. Their false prophets, the elder arrangement. Are these people really appointed by Jehovah's Holy Spirit? I can tell you firsthand knowledge, because I was appointed ministerial servant, covering up sexual immorality. Everybody knows my story. Not going to go into it. And then they were going to appoint me an elder. Same story. So these appointments are not made by Holy Spirit. This is an organization that covers up pedophilia, and now they're getting burnt on it, but rightly so.
Okay, I'd like to add to that.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, so I started studying in 71, and you started studying about the same time, Rich,
76,
when you came
yeah.
back from Vietnam.
Mhm.
And 75 was huge in our generation, absolutely huge. So I studied for 10 months with the Little Truth Book, and then I had no problem with drugs, alcohol, boys, sex, any of that. I was on a college track in high school, and I was heading towards college, studying really hard. I really wanted to go to College of San Mateo. I'm originally from California, and I wanted to go into the nursing program, which was excellent. And so, you had to get all the science classes, all the math classes, all of those prerequisites done before you got into to be eligible to be in the program for nursing at College of San Mateo. Well, when the witnesses came knocking on the door with my mom, after my dad had died, everything changed. So she started studying, and then eventually I started studying, for those who don't really know who I am. So the only thing that really held me back with Watchtower was the college education issue. My father had died, so the resurrection is what really got me hook, line, and sinker. But
Connie's dad was 13.
I was 13 when my dad died.
You were 13, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and he died right in front of me. So yeah, I was very young, and I was very, very close to my father. So, the resurrection is something I was incredibly interested in. But my only reservation with getting baptized was because of their attitude, their strong stance on no college education. You were able to go to a business college, so that's what I did. But I knew I had a lot more potential than just, going to a program that was less than a year for a business college. And I'm a type of person that I really, really love to learn. And after a short period of time, I get pretty bored, and I like to keep growing and moving forward. And so when Watchtower had the policy of no education, that was a real problem for me. It was a real problem, believe me, for my mom as well. So what ended up happening was 75 was just around the corner, and I got baptized 10 months later in 72, July 15th, 72. And, Armageddon never did come in 75. And like Rich said, they said, well, let's just see what's going to happen, maybe 76. Anyway, this is the point I want to make. They were so adamant with no college education at all, because number one, it showed that you were spiritually weak, right? Mm-hmm. You're putting the world's interests ahead of Jehovah's kingdom and serving Jehovah God. So it showed that you're spiritually weak in the congregation. There's all that judgment going on. Second of all, their attitude, Watchtower's attitude, was that if you go get a college education, you must be a very materialistic person. And the third is that, everybody's going to be judging you. You're going to stumble somebody in the congregation if you go get an education. Well, I was with quite a few sisters who were, of course, single like myself, and all they wanted to do was to pioneer and then get married. That was not who I was at all. Okay. I mean, I didn't mind temporary pioneering, but I certainly was not interested in getting married and starting a family. My interest, I was very independent because of how I lived with my mom, losing my father. I really wanted my education because that was going to be my security. And if I ever did choose to get married, I wasn't going to just get married to somebody for someone to support me. Okay. I wanted to use my intelligence and my education and my own career so that I could develop my own self-esteem and my own self-respect and have a good quality of life. That's who I was. I didn't even really need to get married because I needed to prove to myself that I could make it on my own. That's who I was. That was like ingrained into my DNA. So when Watchtower said, you can't have an education, tell me I can't get married and I can't have a family. That would have been easier than to tell me I couldn't have an education, because that's just who I have been my whole life. It's something I had to prove to myself. So anyway, 75 came and went, and then 76 and so forth. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a little bit of a cold, so I'm a little raspy here. So the thing is, with my mom, she was very, very hurt when I didn't go to college. And I'm from a family of 5, of all my brothers and I, she says, Connie, you're the one that has the most potential. Well, I used to really crack the books. I mean, I studied even in junior high school. I'd get up at 3:00 in the morning still studying. I'd study till about 11 o'clock at night, run on about 4 hours sleep, get up at 3. I mean, I was very, very disciplined. And that was in junior high school. And then that ran through high school and then even business college. So my dreams were absolutely decimated with Watchtower's stance. I'll call it a stance, but it really is just nothing more than a policy.
Can I commend you?
Pardon me?
May I commend you?
Oh, well, thank you, honey. Thank you so much. So the thing is,
say this. I mean, this is an extraordinary moment.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is that, you know, there's a whole generation. Now, I'm 70, my husband's 77. There's a whole generation of people from the 60s, 70s, 80s that gave that up.
My grandfather studied the Bible with Charles Taze Russell.
Yes.
And what I'm telling you, if I could, I've witnessed my son is a millionaire. But it wasn't, I've been one of Jehovah's Witnesses my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I taught him myself in a classroom when he was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, myself, when I was a teenager, I was an excellent basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
My whole career was aimed at becoming a basketball player for Dean Smith at the University of North Carolina.
Yeah.
I know.
We're in South Carolina now. Yep. Yeah.
And I succeeded, yet I turned down that scholarship for a doctor's degree in medicine to pioneer.
Yep. I wanted to address
I
that.
was 18 years old.
Yep. That I wanted to address.
However,
Mm-hmm.
I took a 1-year technical course, and I was ostracized because I was a pioneer, because I took, I'm talking about 1974. I took a electronic course,
Oh, okay.
1-year electronic course, and I was abandoned because everybody thought I was a great pioneer, but I've become an apostate because I went and got that 1-year college program. Well, what happened after that? I pursued my own life. I mean, I was a pioneer most of my life with Jehovah's Witnesses because I believed profoundly, like you did,
Right.
and a lot of the biblical truth that's being taught.
Mm-hmm.
However, I surfaced, and I believe personally, every door that was open to me was opened by Jehovah God. That's why I was a consultant for 5 presidents and 10 governors. I was an expert in saving many lives during disasters. I was a member of the 3 Mile Island recovery team. I was a nuclear engineer, and I got through all of that with a 1-year electronic program. I don't know what I could have done if I'd have got a college degree. Now, I've got 3 grandkids, and my son, who I taught, and he took a 2-year degree, has a multi-million-dollar company in Louisiana, and my grandkids are working there making big money, and they hadn't gone to anything in something like college.
Mm-hmm.
So what I see happening is my son, who I have a bit of a problem with, by the way, is that he is teaching them, as I taught him, how to make money using your brain. And they're making big money, and they don't go to college because my son wants to be an elder. And they taught for years and years, you can't be an elder if your kids are going to college.
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I know this because I'm not an uneducated man. I've been educated by Jehovah God himself. And I survived, but I've endured a lot of tribulations.
Oh yeah, life will do that.
I'm still doing that. I'm still doing that now.
A lot of tribulations.
Well, you know, brother, you bring up a really good point. There's a skit on, I call it a skit, but
YouTube, huh?
on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it shows 4 elders
Mm-hmm.
in a committee. They got 3 sitting side by side and 1 elder at the head, presumably, yeah, the presiding overseer. And they have this other elder sitting, you know, right across from him at the end of the table. And they have these 4 elders are acting so kind and gentle with this guy who was an elder, saying, brother, your 2 daughters are going to college.
Mm-hmm.
How does that look to the congregation?
Right.
And so they treated it just like a judicial committee.
Mm-hmm.
They sent them out of the room. They have a discussion, all four of them, saying this is just not proper for an elder to have children.
It's like stumbling people in
Yeah,
the congregation.
So they bring him in,
Mhm.
they bring him back into the room, and they say, brother, you're being deleted as an elder.
Mhm.
You can't be an elder.
Mhm.
Now, to some people that are elders, that's everything. Being an elder that's the greatest
That's the
success
pinnacle.
in life.
Right,
You know,
right.
that's the epitome of success to
Mhm.
them.
Mhm.
That can be devastating.
So he said he didn't agree with them. He
Yeah.
said, I respect your decision, but I don't agree with you.
That's what he said,
Mhm.
right?
He was very, very
I think
polite.
To
He wasn't rude.
if I may, I'm going to finish what I'm going to say.
Oh, it's split up.
I respect.
It's like the bowl.
Go ahead, brother. Brother engineer, go ahead.
We got too many people on there. So go ahead, Rich. Okay.
Yeah, so they delete him.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells all the elders, I mean, if you've got a 17-year-old kid graduate from high school, or she's 18 or he's 18,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to go to college,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to finance it because a lot of kids can't graduate from high school and then go out and provide for themselves
No,
and pay for books and
No.
tuition
no, they
and
can't.
do all that.
No,
I mean, some have, but they're few and far between
right,
that can pay their way through college, work their way through college. They need that support from their parents. And
right,
if the parents are elders or
No.
ministerial servants,
right,
they're not going to get that support.
right, because they expect everyone to be a pioneer.
And now it's come back to bite them in the butt.
Right,
It really is, because donations are down, because people, who are window washers, nothing wrong with being a window washer. I have a son that used to do that. But you
your opportunities in life are very limited.
you cannot bring have a mortgage, put a kid through school on window washers pay,
No, you
or
can't.
carpet shampooers pay, or the jobs that Jehovah's Witnesses historically get.
Okay, I'd like to say something here before anyone else chimes in. So in my case, when my father had passed away, my mom was a widow and I was half of an orphan because my father was deceased. And it's still true today with Social Security. One of the benefit is a widow or a child's surviving. What's the word I'm trying to say? It's a spouse benefit or the children's benefit. And what you do is Social Security will pay all the way through the age of 22. Now, this is when I was in. It might have changed a little bit today. I don't think so. You could check with Social Security. Anyway, so I was 13 when my dad died. So as long as I was going to school full time, my mom was receiving a check each and every month for me. Okay, now when I finished high school, I went to business college, and that was less than a year, that program. But this is the point I'm trying to make, okay? Like Rich had $450 a month coming in because of being a veteran, okay? And that was a benefit he had. Well, my mom said to me, Connie, she says, you can get your education paid for, a 4-year education with your tuition and your books, as long as you're putting in a full-time schedule. A full-time schedule in college is 12 units. Every class is 3 units. So you're talking about four classes. 4 classes times 3 units is 12. That's a full-time load. 4 classes, that's it. So anyway, that's like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or a Tuesday, Thursday schedule. It's a piece of cake. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that I would have had my tuition paid for. I would have had my books paid for. Okay. Well, because there was so much pressure with the organization, my mom was heartbroken when I didn't go to college. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you. When 76 came and Armageddon didn't show up, I opened up to my mom and I said, Mom, I put everything on hold for Armageddon. It didn't come. And I was ready to leave the organization at the age of 21. And I got baptized at 17 because I could see that this was a huge lie. And my life at that point, I'm 4 years behind, right? I have friends from high school that have already graduated and got their bachelor's degree. And, I'm 4 years behind them. So what was interesting was I went to the College of San Mateo and I looked at the books and all that in the bookstore, but I was very fearful of the elders. And by that time, I was only baptized 4 years. Okay. So this is the thing. I did not go to college at 21. I finally left the organization when I was 28, finally. And then I had some finances to take care of. And so at the age of 30, I went back to college. Now, this is where it changes, okay? So my opportunity to have my whole education paid for 4 years, just like if someone had a full scholarship, was totally eliminated because I believed the lies of Watchtower. But if I wanted an education, I could still do it, but I really had to do it the hard way. And the hard way is I was going to have to work full time and I was going to have to go to school at night. Now, let me tell you, that's no piece of cake, okay? Because a lot of jobs, especially if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, employers expect you to work overtime. It's not optional, okay? So anyway, it was a real balancing act. So what ended up happening is I worked full time. I went to school at night. I started with one. Then once I built up my confidence, I took 2 classes a semester. And it's like a piece of cheese. You just take a little bite here, a little bite there, a little. So to get your AA degree, that's 60 units right there. Okay. I got through all that with straight A's. Okay. I was so determined. To make up for the 12 years that I was held back being a witness. I was working my ass off, but I absolutely loved it. Then I went into my baccalaureate, still working full time, and I got straight A's there as well. So I graduated summa cum laude, and I was very, very proud of that. And what I'm just trying to say is it's possible. It is very, very possible, but you have to set your own goals and your own dreams. Now, let's just, let's do the full 360. Okay. Rich got he got his associates. I have my 4-year degree. I was trying to determine if I wanted to go on for my graduate degree in social work, but I wanted to work in the field first to see if it's really what I wanted to do in order to invest more money and more time for another 42 units, which is your graduate degree. And I decided not to go that route. Social work is fine, but it's very challenging. And I didn't go into nursing because of the blood issue, but instead I went into social work. If I could do it all over again, I would have been a naturopathic doctor. That's my real love, is helping people naturally, and it's with health. That's my true love. Even today it is. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is now the full 360 picture. Now Watchtowers changed their policy on this. Okay. How many millions of people's lives have been destroyed for not having that opportunity to go get an education?
Yeah, and in Connie's
struggling financially.
In Connie's situation, she did get straight A's, top of her class.
Yeah,
could have easily been a naturopathic doctor. It was well within her grasp. But she's, she didn't.
I need another lifetime.
Yeah, if she had another lifetime, she definitely could do that.
Because I love people. I saw my father die in front of me. And I don't wish that on anybody, to be sick or chronically ill. And I just have that innate love for people, and especially with health, to try to help people to be healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But I'm talking about physically. So that's my true love. Medicine itself, you're talking about a good 12 years, but then they're backed up by the pharmaceuticals. And I have my feelings on that. So I'd rather go natural agents. I won't get into that, but there's a time and a place for everything, but I would have been a naturopathic doctor. So anyway, you think about the people that had a full ride, a full scholarship, and they gave all that up for pioneering or for Watchtower. Okay. And now Watchtower slapped them all right in the face. And so this is another thing I want to say. I was so concerned about stumbling anybody in the congregation. Okay. All those single sisters that I grew up with, you think they cared? many were pioneers, not all, but many were, a few of them, I should say, were regular pioneers. And you know what? They got married the first chance they could.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How are you going to support yourself being a regular pioneer? You're not. You're just working a part-time job. The way I looked at it, they were looking for a brother just for a meal ticket. That's my take on it. That's not who I was. So are they happy? Not really. I wouldn't say so. Looking back, some of them been divorced, married and divorced a couple of times. One's got a kid that's a gangbanger. You know, what kind of life is that? Mm-hmm. But anyway, I didn't want to go down any of those roads. I wanted to get my education. I needed to prove that to myself, and I needed to be able to stand up on my own 2 feet. And I was blessed in many ways, and my intelligence was always very important to me. And then if I ever found the right person, I could share that, you know, with my prospective husband. Mm-hmm. But I was never going to settle just to get married to anybody, because I really didn't need to be married. But the point I'm trying to make is there is nothing like being a woman and being able to stand on your own 2 feet. Because even if you get married, there's no guarantee it can last. There can be infidelities. You can have divorce. Husband can become disabled, or there can be death. Okay. And if you can't make it on your own, you're up a creek with no paddle. Mm-hmm. So I am a real advocate for women's rights and getting your education. And for the young people that are listening, or, you know, it's never too late to go back to college. Trust me, it is never too late. I even got to teach at the community college level, and I absolutely loved it. Loved it. People are just, especially when they're adults, they're there because they want to be there, and they want to gain skills. They want to have a better paying position. There's a lot of reasons people want to go back to college. And Watchtower now has changed this whole policy, and it infuriates me because they had no right to have their nose in people's lives with regards to education. And like my mom said, when people, my mom said, Connie, when I'm dead and gone, she says, you mark my words, those elders will not be paying for any of your expenses in life. And I knew my mom was right, and she was.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Hi, Constance.
Hello?
Hi there.
Hi, Constance. Hello.
No. Go ahead, brother, please.
Yeah, it's Dean. It's Dean from Hawaii.
Oh, Dean.
How
yeah,
are you?
hi, Dean. We met him, remember?
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, Dean.
Aloha.
How are you guys?
We're great. We're wonderful. Wonderful marriage, wonderful life.
You know what? I just loved meeting both of you at the convention.
Same here.
Yeah, it was really special.
I just loved, Constance, you and I are old kindred souls, I think.
Kindred souls.
Oh, kindred souls.
How cute. Well, I wish I was in Hawaii right now. It's my favorite place in the world.
Oh,
I love Hawaii. Oh,
I love
Hawaii.
where I'm at in Missouri.
Okay. Hawaii's a beautiful place. Yes.
So you thought
I just wanted to say hello. I love you guys.
Thank you, honey. We love
Thank
you
you.
too. It's a
Thank
pleasure
you.
to meet you at the conference too, Dean. Thank you, honey, for chiming in.
Yes. Aloha. Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you, honey.
Bye-bye.
Aloha too.
Star 6, if you want to make a comment on anything that me and Connie have been talking about.
The gentleman that was on with the wonderful North Carolina accent, he must have had an exceptional brain to start with, because IQ is your inborn score when you're like 5 and 6 years old. And so for him to be against college because he's a witness, he's blocking the door for a lot of people to make a basic living. Because now most of the jobs, you've got to have at least a bachelor's degree to get in the door.
Oh, yeah. Very true. Very, very true, Pixie. Very true. And you know, I came from the San Francisco Bay Area. Let me tell you, there is so much competition with people with their resume, with their education. Oh man,
Yes.
and their experience. You
I
don't
know.
even have a chance unless you have an education. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It opens more doors
you know,
of opportunities.
for him to be very haughty that he did well, and he sounds older, so he probably, with the electronic background, he probably hit a certain industry just right. And there are some people, because I'm 68 now, there's some people a little bit older than me that they hit an industry just right. For some of my successes, my timing was just right.
Yeah.
And if I had to go into the market now, I don't know what would be good, except maybe electrician, plumber, dentist. They're not going to be outsourced.
AI is coming in and changing a lot of things. So
What?
AI.
Yeah. A lot of things have been outsourced.
Yes.
PR has been outsourced. And a lot of the background for attorneys, a lot of the legal background, they've got their Juris Doctor, but a lot of their help is going to be the robot.
Yeah. Well, we just had a friend that a few months back, she had let me stop and think. There's been a couple things going on. She had a hysterectomy. Our friend Lynn. She had a hysterectomy. And anyway, she said the robots are going to be there doing the surgery for her. And I said, what? She said, oh, yeah. She says, go online and you'll see. They have YouTube videos. They have robots doing the hysterectomy. I said, who's controlling the robots? She said, well, it's the doctor for sure. But they have robots and they even have it for mastectomies. They have, you know, it's incredible what they have with this AI going on. It's changing the whole world in the medical profession and everything else. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. So it's ironic to me that, you know, the Watchtower is always a day late and $1 short on every social trend. And it's ironic to me that they're coming in with this now, when this would be the time to say, okay, we were right about electrician and plumber. So I feel for the young people. And the last time I went to Kingdom Hall, I had talked to some young girls there, and they went into nursing, and they're doing great.
Oh, they pay very well.
And then
you can get an RN degree for 2 years, and in the Bay Area, they're making about $100 an hour. That's no joke. That is no joke.
What they don't have to do, because they don't have to have the office insurance and the malpractice insurance that the physician has to have. So they're doing great.
That's right. But they do have to have some insurance, especially if you're ICU. You do have to have, because my friend Marianne was an ICU nurse. But when you get into being a physician who's, say, a plastic surgeon or cardiologist, oh man, their insurance rates, they're covered for, you know, $600,000 on up for liability lawsuits. Yeah.
But it's so ironic because, you know, they paid for their guy to go to Columbia University Law. What I wouldn't have, I would have loved masters. I would have loved a Juris Doctor. They're paying for him to go, and it turns out it's Brumley that got into the trouble. He didn't want to be an attorney in the first place. He had no love for the law in the first place.
Okay, let's talk about that, Pixie, because that's an excellent point. Okay, first of all, Schroeder. It was Schroeder. He was a governing body member. It was his son that got a free ride for Watchtower, paying for his entire.
I remember that. I remember that.
Okay, and they quiet. Okay. Well, most JWs don't know that. Talk about hypocrisy. And Philip Brumley, the top dog for Watchtower legal department, he was a plumber. Okay, Watchtower paid for his full ride for law school.
Well, he had a bachelor's in something, and then they kind of drafted him into it, you know?
Yeah, because it was going to benefit Watchtower. That's why.
Yeah.
As long as it benefits Watchtower, they'll change the rules, but they just keep it on the QT, so they don't want the majority of JWs knowing about it.
Well, one thing I know, they don't even remember my name. I put a lifetime in, and my neighbors back there in the old neighborhood at the Kingdom Hall, they don't even remember who I was or what I did. They were not concerned with what I did. So I went and made my life for myself. And my parents were later proud of me, and I was able to contribute financially, and I was able to do hospice for my parents, and my parents were very proud of me at the end. And my uncle, who was younger when he came to visit my mother, he was all about education for his children in Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma, and he was a Methodist. And he says, why don't they brag on you? Well, how do I explain to my dear Methodist uncle the intricacies of the Jehovah's Witness culture, if I can use the word?
That's a good term.
Never understood.
Right. You know, Pixie, I just wanted to share something very interesting. We always love everyone's comments, but you're bringing up some great ones tonight, as usual. I remember when I was so disillusioned with Watchtower, of course, I wanted to see my dad in the new system. That was a real hook, line, and sinker. Had me by the throat, that one right there. But the thing is that I remember I had so many doubts and questions and the hypocrisy and all that. And I thought, maybe I need to change religions. Maybe I need to check out the Mormons. Okay, so just hear me out on this. Okay, that's another cult, as we know. But I have it's my cousin's son, so it's my second cousin. Okay, his name's Nathaniel. Okay, Nathaniel is a Mormon. He's still a Mormon to this day. He's pretty close to 50 years of age. Yep, 50, late 40s, almost like age of your kids.
Yeah.
Okay, nice kid, married, couple of kids. But this is what I wanted to make a comment. He went right from high school right into the Army, and he put in 20 years. Okay, now don't close your mind if you're a JW listening to this about war. Just open up your mind and listen to what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, he made a conscious decision as a Mormon, which was okay in his religion, to go to the military, and he went into the Army. 20 years. Do you know how fast 20 years flies by?
Real fast.
By the time he was 38, he retired. I don't know what rank, okay, but he retired 20 years in the Army. So at 38, which is like your prime in life, I think your 30s would be. Mm-hmm. It certainly was mine. The thing is that, he had a pension. He had a regular pension coming in from the time of 38, right? Okay, that's number one. Number two, he got his education through the military, and he's really, really bright. And he loves this stuff having to do with the military and cyberspace and security. I mean, that's basically how I can describe it. And I'm talking about a good 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. He's making $250,000 a year. So he's probably making a heck of a lot more than that. And that's a Mormon. Okay. Now the Mormons allow you to do that. And of course, the Mormon cult, they expect you to pay, 10% or whatever it is as a tithe. Watchtower doesn't allow anyone to do any of that. People are piss poor. Think of people our generation. Well, they are. They're piss poor, right? The expression is they're poor. They don't have a window to throw it out of, Yeah. So
Pew Research Trust, the Pew Research Trust had a list of all the religions and what they make in salary.
Yeah.
And the Hindu in America, the Hindu people, good neighbors, they're at the top of earning power.
They go
down the list of all the other religions that that are your neighbors. And then at the bottom, we have the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Pentecostal. They earn the least and they're educated the least.
Yep. Yep. And they pay the price when they get older. I mean, if we're going to have our friend Joe Dario come on, and he's told us personally about an elder. No, was he a circuit overseer, Rich? I think he was a circuit overseer. And he's 80. And the guy is living in total poverty. He gave his whole life to Watchtower. And yet, Watchtower gets rid of you, especially 70 and on.
Right, they're laying off people
at 70,
left and right.
You're out to pasture. They don't care anymore about you.
Their cars and stuff. And you'd think that maybe the witnesses, like if there were a couple COs and their wives, like they could do like the old hippies and rent a house, and 4 or 5 of them could maybe be together as a community of older people, something like that. It pains me. It just pains me.
Well, I got the opportunity, and I'm not bragging. Okay, that's not who I am. But like I say, I'm from California, and I got to meet Ron Reed. Ron Reed apparently had been on this show many, many years ago before I found Six Strings, before 2015. And Ron Reed was a circuit overseer for many years. He lives up in Chico, California. He was a circuit overseer in several different states, not just California, just several different states. And he had a few children, he and his wife. And he told me personally, he says, by the time my youngest one was getting ready to graduate from high school, I decided this is my deadline for leaving the organization. And guess what Ron did? Ron went to college and he went to law school. He went to McGeorge Law School in Sacramento, California. And he passed the bar exam, and he's a district attorney up in Chico, California. So he's now about late 70s, maybe early 80s, and he's trying to make up for all the time that he lost. But you know what? He made a wise choice to get out of the cult because he could see the writing on the wall. A lot of them didn't. And you know what? They're living in a trailer, struggling. Mm-hmm.
A lot of these old attorneys, they just keep working. So he made a good choice on that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. His name's Ron Reed.
I got a little story for you.
Yeah.
Strange punchline at the end. My dear aunt was in the World War II time with my parents.
Okay.
And when she came back to visit us before she died, they're all gone now. All the people in the story are gone except me.
Yeah.
But I managed to find this sister in Maryland who knew my aunt in World War II in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And they were so glad to see each other at dinner.
Okay.
So I had a little dinner party with my parents, this lady from Maryland and her witness husband, and my aunt and uncle, who are longtime witnesses, but they used to be in the old days in World War II in the military in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So the Maryland elder, he's way high up.
Okay.
And after dinner, I had some religious questions, and I'm being hostess. We had all the silverware and everything out. And so we put the Bible on the table like the witnesses used to do in the old days after dinner, and it was kind of fun for us. And he looks up a scripture and he reads it to me, and he turns to me and he says, "Have you been to college?" I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "Did you take calculus?" I said, "With a tutor, yes, I did pass calculus. I'm proud of it. I'm not a math person, but yes, I did." He says, "Well, don't worry about
shut
any
that TV off.
Then he says, "Well, then don't worry about any of this."
Hey, the cars.
Go ahead, Pixie. Go ahead.
My punchline was, he said, "Did you take calculus?" I said, "It was not my strong suit, but yes, with a tutor, I did."
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "If you've been to college and took calculus," he says, "don't worry about any of this." Now, isn't that curious?
Don't worry about any of this, meaning Watchtower stuff?
Meaning looking it up in the Bible, having a Bible question, Watchtower, the big umbrella of everything Kingdom Hall.
Oh, I see.
Family friend, trusted person, wonderful gentleman, married to this lady that's known my aunt forever. They had a reunion, and he, in confidence, says to me, "If you took calculus and you've been to college, don't worry about any of this."
So he didn't necessarily believe it himself. That's what that tells me. Yeah.
Isn't that wild? Because he was very high up as far as anything in Maryland, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, Pixie, it's interesting how you just said that, because when I met Ron Reed, it was a group of ex-JWs, and they had the book Crisis of Conscience, and it was really absolutely wonderful. And Ron...
But everyone at my table were believers. These people were all still in.
Yeah. Well, the point I wanted to make was I knew Ron Reed by this time had been an attorney. So I was really impressed with that, you know, especially had been a circuit overseer. Oh my God, he left the organization. He's an attorney? Really? Wow. I was so impressed. And I said to him, I said, "Ron," I said, "is it true you're an attorney?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, I'm so impressed." Right. And you know what he said? I'll never forget it. He says, "Yeah, I'm happy to be an attorney," but he says, "I'm very impressed with you." I said, "Why are you impressed with me?" He says, "Because you left Watchtower." And I said, oh my word, thank you. I said, I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this conversation. And I never did. I never did forget that conversation. That's not to toot my horn. I mean, he had been not only just an elder, but a CO for many years. And I was really touched by that comment. And you know, the point I'm trying to make is if you have dreams and you have goals, go for them, because Watchtower, okay, look at King Solomon. He was the wisest man and the richest man ever. Okay, God never gave you a brain for you to waste it and let it rot. Okay. So the thing is that use your opportunities or make those opportunities for you, because you never can get the time back ever. That's the thing about it. And Watchtower now, okay, this was not new light from Jehovah God. Okay, not at all. This is a corporation that's run by these bozos that are up there in the governing body. Okay, and it was, who was the one, Rich? Nor was the one that never had a college degree. He didn't want anyone else to have a college degree, the stupid idiot.
Yeah, didn't want to be outshined
He
by
didn't want
anybody.
it. So that's why Watchtower came down and said, you know, no college education. That's where it came from, friends.
That's the difference with the gentleman, with the Juris Doctor that you met. You meet someone who has put in rigorous hours to get their Juris Doctor.
Yeah.
You know, my late sweetie, I said, was it difficult? Was it hard? He says, no, it was fun. So some people really love the law and it's easy for them. They have a knack for it, but it's still a very grueling course.
Oh, honey, let me tell you, to pass that bar exam is no piece of cake. Okay, a lot of times people have to try several times. It is very, very tough. And way back, like in the 90s, every time you wanted to take it, it was $250 every time you wanted to take the exam.
That's true. But my point I was making was the gentleman was an example of helpful strength.
Yeah.
When someone is secure in what they know and what they have and what they've done, they're going to compliment you and pull you up with them.
Right. That's the key.
Good point.
Very good point, Pixie.
They're
not going to tear you down. They're not going to belittle you. You know?
See, when you think about it, Rutherford was a lawyer. He passed the bar. It's kind of a question where he got his education, but nevertheless, he did pass the bar.
In Missouri. Yeah.
He went into a lot of too.
You know,
well, the Apostle Luke was a physician.
Yeah, Luke
he was a doctor.
Right.
So, you know, and the Watchtower, you know.
You missed my tip about the drunken Rutherford. He went into a lot of bars too.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He certainly did.
Oh, yes, he did.
Yeah, him and his 2 16-cylinder Cadillacs on each coast.
Yeah, and how many messages did he
loved his women, huh?
Monday, 2 for Tuesday, and 3 for Wednesday, I think.
He loved his booze. He loved his women. What can I say, honey? Yeah, he
Beautiful
was.
house, though.
Yeah, they said that Nort was, I think Robert Anderson said he was as dumb as a doornail. You know?
Nor?
Yeah.
Yeah. He ran Watchtower like a, fist.
And he didn't want anybody outshining him,
right,
education-wise.
That's where it came in, no education. Think about the people that are from, the Japanese or any of the Asians. Let me tell you, when I was in school, those Asians, they are like straight A students, man. They're cracking the books, hitting it, making sure they're getting A's. Okay. I mean, no B plus, it has to be an A. And so you think about the witnesses that are in those cultures in Japan, they pass it all up. What? Just to knock on doors and to be solicitors for Watchtower? Really? I mean, that's their culture, is to be very well educated and to do very well in school. That's why you see a lot of people of Asian descent who are doctors. Okay, and Jewish people too.
And if they're born into a specific class, they're expected to meet the rigors of the social class they're born into.
Oh yeah, big time. Big time. There's no window washers or janitors.
It's not part of that.
No. No, status is very important to them. In the Bay Area, you see a lot of Asians. They're all driving around with their Mercedes Benz. That's their status. They're driving a Mercedes Benz, so they're very successful, and they're proud of it too.
Mhm.
I'm not talking about an old clunker. I'm talking about something brand new.
Yeah, the governing body would have you believe that if you go to college, when you come out and you get your degree, that you're going to be arrogant and
Well, they think you're going to be an atheist, as well.
yeah, well,
Rich.
they tell you all these things. We have no statistics to back that up.
It's all fear. It's all fear because they don't want you to get out, number one. They don't want you in an organization.
But now they're going to let you go to college,
Right.
and nobody's going to say anything. If you're an elder, you're not going to be deleted as an elder if your kids go or if you go or anything of that nature, because they're going broke. The Watchtower, the members of the Watchtower, in the congregations can't put money in the collection box. They just don't have it because the without an education, for the most part, without an education, you're just rubbing nickels together. You can't pay the electric. You're back on the rent. It's not like you have. If you got $100,000 a year job, you can drop $10K into the collection box and survive. But if you're only making $40,000 a year, what can you give? Nothing. You're trying to get money from other people.
And Watchtower always wants you to be contributing more and more and more.
Yeah, more and more money.
It's never enough.
Yeah.
They have deep pockets.
And those guys, they're sitting on $7 billion in assets.
Oh, they're sitting on.
But they're not going to give you a cent, and they don't give a damn about you.
And they never did care about you.
Yeah. I had a house burned down in 1988. At the time I was a ministerial servant, had the book study at my house. The society didn't say, "Hey, Brother Borghi, here's $1,000 towards your repairing your house." Got nothing.
It was the wintertime too. Remember, Rich?
Yeah, it's February
the 8th. Snows. It snows in the wintertime in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where was the brotherly love, right?
Yeah.
After you give everything to this organization, they slap you in the face. So my suggestion is, you have an opportunity to go to college, go. Or you want to go in the trades, go. I don't care if you're a woman or not.
Armageddon's not coming, folks.
No, it's not.
And the Watchtower will tell you that now. They're getting so far away from Armageddon.
Was that something else?
Yeah.
Can you believe that teaching in an article for these older ones? My goodness.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Because you can't keep on lying to people, especially now with the advent of the internet in the 60s and so forth.
Yeah.
You can't tell people Armageddon.
Right.
People can do research,
online.
Yeah, C.T. Russell was talking about it. Armageddon in the late 1800s, then 1914, 1925, and a whole bunch of other suggestions, very strong suggestions all through the years. And then they definitely said in the Truth Book, 1975 is going to bring Armageddon.
Oh my God.
They said there's a definite, and they put that word in the paragraph.
Oh yeah.
Twice. Definite period of time. Definite start and a definite end. And 6,000 years is going to end in 1975. We heard that's all I heard.
Service meetings, it was nonstop. And this younger generation said, 75. Do your own research. Oh my God.
Even though the Bible says nobody knows the time and the date,
right,
except for the Heavenly Father. Jesus doesn't even know.
That's right.
You've got Freddie Franz, September the 5th, 1975 will be the last day of this wicked system of things. And God's rule is coming to the earth.
Well, they did that as a propaganda. That was a propaganda so that they could get more people into the organization, which meant more money. That's what that was. When you look at the stats to see how many witnesses got baptized, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, man, it was going up, up. And then 76, it started to drop and then dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. Okay, many people got baptized 75. or before, because Armageddon was coming.
Is it September 5th today? What is the date today?
Today is September 6th, 25.
Okay, so 50
years.
years and it didn't happen. There you go. Right
That's
on the day, almost.
That's right.
As Rick says in the bottom right-hand corner, still here.
Yeah.
As my former girlfriend said to me, we're still here.
Dick and Constance. Yeah, in fact, we got about 5 minutes to go. So if you want, you can kind of lead the audience to understand the program will end in 5 minutes. Yep.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay, Rick.
We'll take a call or two before we get thrown off the air.
Hey, Dick. Hi, Dick and Connie. Can you hear me? Dick and Connie?
Yep, please.
We got two people there. One's Stefan, and there's another brother.
Go ahead, Steph.
You can say your piece first, Stefan.
I'm going to be extremely brief. I was just thinking about this concept of going to college and how the Watchtower witnesses have really shot themselves in the foot by not doing that. When I was coming down for the Stay Alive convention, and I'm going to say this quickly now, they have cleaning Zamboni-looking equipment that self-drives. That used to be a job. I got stuck in the airport overnight, and normally a cleaning crew would come out, and there'd be a guy driving this thing. And it looks like a Zamboni, and it sweeps the floor, and they drive through the whole airport, and they clean it up. That's all automated now. That's done by a robot that drives itself with no human intervention. Second thing, very quickly, I was standing in front of a satellite office just 2 weeks ago, and what looked like an ice chest, the kind that we would take to the convention, those bigger ones on wheels.
Yeah.
And it's a completely robotic, automated device. And if you order from a certain restaurant and you're in that area, this thing drives your food over to you. You use your mobile app to unlock it, you get your food, and then it drives itself back to the restaurant. This is where we are
That's
now.
Right. That's exactly right.
And the things that are on the chopping block that just haven't come out, and you're just now telling people to go to college. So the people who are starting to do it, go ahead and do it. But we're so far behind that I don't know what nobody knows what life is going to be like in the next few years with the way that things are changing with technology, automation, robotics, AI, and all the rest of this. Everybody's going to have to go to college.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you,
We love
Steph.
you, honey. Thank you for chiming in.
Hello.
Go ahead, brother. There was another.
Hi. I'm going to be brief too. I have a question. Which book is the truth book? I don't think I ever had that book.
What?
The Truth Book? The Truth Book is the dark blue book that was late 60s and in the 70s.
Yeah, the truth that leads to
Everlasting life.
Everlasting life.
Mm-hmm. More witnesses got baptized with that book. Mm-hmm.
I never had that book because when I started studying in '95, which was 30 years ago, I studied the red book, the Everlasting Life book.
Yeah, that was later. That was much later.
Yeah.
Yeah, they called all those books back in.
So let's hear from the brother before we get cut off, honey.
Yeah.
They really say that the end was coming in 1975. Because I asked about it, they say it wasn't true. I asked all the witnesses to say it wasn't true. That they did not say the end was coming in 1975. It was a misunderstanding, and that it was that they say that it was the reign, like the 6,000, like the end of the 6,000, years.
Yeah, we know that.
It existed.
You know what that is if I can get my words in.
Yeah, go ahead.
The method was by predicting 1975, they were going to bring more members in, and the members that left after it didn't happen, they thought the new members were going to offset them in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You bit him in the butt.
Sort of like the foot in the door marketing method.
Yeah, bit him in the butt. Mm-hmm. Did.
Wow.
Yeah. Once those brothers got
the subjects were. I'm sorry.
Once those brothers got baptized, the ones that came in prior to 1975, they thought that they would indoctrinate them, and then they could gaslight them with some crazy excuse why Armageddon didn't come, and they would stay and finance the organization. That was their game plan.
Barbara said that after 75, like 76 on, 500,000 JWs left the organization because they realized it was a lie. Armageddon did not come. And they had their whole lives on hold. And that was in 76, 77, 78. 500,000, that's 500,000.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder, like the family members who were in during that time, like why didn't they leave after 75?
They were indoctrinated.
Well, because then Watchtower used the excuse, they said, well, we don't serve Jehovah on a particular date. Remember?
Yeah.
They had an excuse for everything. So we don't worship him just at 75 or 76. That was their excuse. Mm-hmm. So, but, I was starting to check out at that point. 76, mentally, I was starting to check out.
They were saying that it was a loving provision from Jehovah, so now more people could come into the truth and be saved. So he postponed Armageddon, which was their BS story. But, and they're good at it. They're good at those stories. But, you can BS people
for so long.
That's right. I think Abraham Lincoln said, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but not all the people all of the time. Yeah.
And I was always afraid I was going to stumble somebody if I went to college. And let me tell you something. When I look back, the 12 years I was in the organization, I didn't stumble anybody. But who I did stumble, I stumbled myself. That's who I stumbled. And then it was 12 years of catch up for the 12 years I was in. That's the truth. It's the absolute truth.
I don't know if it was said before, but if they're not paying your bills, they don't have a say in what you do to pay your bills.
No, they don't.
That's right.
They don't.
That's what I've heard.
They don't.
If the sister wants to see the truth book, go to jwfacts.org.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, that wasn't me. But anyways, we can end it here, Dick, anyways. And we're going to go to JW World News. And we got a program coming up after that, Justice for All, with Stephanie Lynn Carson. She'll be coming on as well. And we're looking forward to her program. But good program, guys. You had good amount of people coming in. A lot of people on the telephone line tonight. So we appreciate your presence, Dick and Constance. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for commenting.
For tuning in.
Yes, thank you.
God bless.
All righty. So we'll end the stream here. And we got another program coming up next, JW World News. And, of course, we're going to bring you right up to speed on what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. So we're going to do that next. But thank you for coming in and listening to Dick and Constance Borghi. Thank you very much. So we'll end this here and go to JW World News coming up next. So let's do that.